All right. Chapter 9. I now return to ourselves because there has ever been such a comparison made between us that we are brought, as it were, into judgment on account of rivalship in the common conversation of mankind. What two things can be more dissimilar than Antonius's manner of speaking and my own? Though he is such an orator that no one can possibly surpass him, and I, though I am altogether dissatisfied with myself, am yet in preference to others admitted to a comparison with him. Do you notice what the manner of Antonius is? It is bold, vehement, full of energy and action, fortified with and guarded on every point of the cause, spirited, acute, explicit, dwelling upon every circumstance, retiring with honor, pursuing with eagerness, terrifying, supplicating, exhibiting the greatest variety of language, yet without satiety to the ear. But as to myself, whatever I am, as a speaker, since I appear to you to hold some place among speakers, I certainly differ very greatly from his style. What my talents are, it becomes not me to say, because every one is least known to himself, and it is extremely difficult for any person to form a judgment of his own capacity. But the dissimilitude may be easily perceived from both from the mediocrity of my action and from the circumstance that I usually conclude in the same track in which I first set out, and that labor and care in choosing words causes me greater anxiety than choice of matter, being afraid that if my language should be a little obsolete, it may appear unworthy of the expectation and silent attention of the audience. But if in us who are present there are such remarkable dissimilitudes, such decided peculiarities in each of us, and in all this variety, the better is distinguished from the worse by difference in ability rather than by difference in kind, and everything is praiseworthy that is perfect in its nature, what do you imagine must be the case if we should take into consideration all the orators that anywhere exist or ever existed? Would it not happen that almost as many kinds of eloquence as of orators would be found? But from this observation of mine, it may perhaps occur to you that if there be almost innumerable varieties of and characters of eloquence, dissimilar in species, yet laudable in their kind, things of so so diversified in nature can never be formed into an art by the same precepts in one single method of instruction. This is not the case, and it is to be attentively considered by those who have the conduct and education of others in what direction the natural genius of each seems principally to incline him. For we see that from the same schools of artists and masters eminent in their respective pursuits, there have gone forth pupils very unlike each other, yet all praiseworthy, because the instruction of the teacher has been adapted to each person's natural genius, a fact of which is the most remarkable example, to say nothing of other sciences, is that saying of Isocrates, an eminent teacher of eloquence, that he used to apply the spur of Ephorus, but to put the rein on Theopompus. For the one who overleaped all bounds in the boldness of his expressions, he restrained; the other who hesitated and was bashful, as it were, he stimulated. Nor did he produce in them any resemblance to each other, but gave to the one such an addition, and retrenched from the other so much superfluity, as to form in both that excellence of which the natural genius of each was susceptible. 10. I thought it necessary to premise these particulars, that if every remark of mine did not exactly adapt itself to the inclinations of you all, and to that particular style of speaking which each of you most admired, you might be sensible that I described that character of eloquence of which I myself most approved. Those matters, therefore, of which Antonius has treated so explicitly, are to be endowed with action and elocution by the orator in some certain manner. What manner of elocution can be better, for I will consider action by and by, than that of speaking in pure Latin, which precipitously, with gracefulness, and with aptitude and congruity to the subject in question. Of the two which I mentioned first, purity and clearness of language, I do not suppose that any account is expected from me, for we do not attempt to teach him to be an orator who cannot speak, nor can we hope that he who cannot speak grammatical Latin will speak elegantly, nor that he who cannot speak what we can understand will ever speak anything for us to admire. Let us therefore omit these matters, which are easy to of attainment, though necessary in practice. For the one is taught in school learning and the rudiments of children, the other is cultivated for this reason, that what every person says may be understood, a qualification which we perceive indeed to be necessary, yet that none can be held in less estimation. But all elegance of language, though it received a polish from the science of grammar, is yet augmented by the reading of orators and poets. For those ancients who could not then adorn what they expressed had almost all a kind of nobleness of diction. And those who are accustomed to their style cannot express themselves otherwise than in pure Latin, even though they desire to do so. Yet we must not make use of such of their words as our modern mode of speaking does not admit, unless sometimes for the sake of ornament, and but sparingly, as I shall explain. But he who is studious and much conversant with ancient writers will make such use of common expressions as always to adopt the most eligible.